Well, hello everyone, good evening and welcome back to the Masters Championship. Tonight we are around a very wet Japanese Grand Prix, so it's going to be a very eventful one. We have 15 drivers, there's a good few reserves in this evening as well, so it'll make it pretty interesting for everybody else, as the grid was pretty small, so there's at least 4 reserves in, so hopefully it's still a fun race. We still have 15 drivers, and as you can see, the conditions are not ideal for everybody else, but I am here by myself. There's nobody able to join me tonight, so you're going to have to listen to me talk for the next 11 minutes of qualifying, and then for I don't know how many laps it is of the race. So yeah, let's hope it's a good one and all the gates put on a good show. But first lap so far in the wet conditions is Matt has actually taken pole position so far with a 36.9, and then Chubbs is not too far behind the 37 flat. So at the minute Chubbs is looking pretty good, especially in these wet conditions, and Kevin and Beastas are not too far behind either. But the longer and longer this goes on sorry, and the more and more these guys get themselves comfort, the lap times are going to drop, I would say, pretty quickly as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be the last man probably over the line will probably take pole position, but I'm just going to try and keep an eye on, see who is the next person across the line. I believe it is going to be Matter, so we'll see if what Matter can do. He's currently down in P9 with a 39.5, but as he get on, he gets a decent exit out of the last corner. What's he going to do when he crosses the line? It's going to be a 37.4, which puts him in the P6, so it's a massive improvement from his last lap. And behind that was, I think it was Joachim actually moved himself out to P2 with a 37.0, so it's a good lap from Joachim. I think Beastas is the next one across, and he's went into the pits. And then we have, I think it's a Mercedes, which is probably Matt. It's not Matt. Oh, Matt's connection is looking very tricky, but Chubbs comes across the line in the Valdez lap. See Matt gets on, he looks very laggy on my screen, but he's currently 7 tenths down this time, so he's not going to be much of an improvement. Kevin's moving out of the way, so the next person is going to be Scuba. He finished just a 10th up on his time, so he hasn't made much of an improvement. Next across the line, Dobby's in the pits. Then we'll have our racing point, which is going to be Merck, who's going to come out of the last. No, he's not. He's going to bolt it. Oh, he's hit the wall as well, which is not ideal. It's a bit of wing damage from Merck, but to be fair, he's coming into the pits, so it'll not compromise him too much. But Wesker's coming out of the last corner now. He's currently nearly 3 tenths up on his time. Where's he going to go? He goes up into P3 with a 37.0, so it was a fantastic last sector from Wesker, gained a lot of time. So the times are pretty close. The top 4 is only covered by, say, less than a tenth. Far as I will actually see if I can actually check. So yeah, as you can see, it's only 700 of 78,000 of a second covers the top 4, so it's very close in these conditions. But is there anybody else that's close to the end of a lap? I can see. I don't think whether actually there is. I believe that's probably Matter again, is it? It is, but he's currently nearly 3 seconds down this time, so he's not going to be much of an improvement. What about Jarham? He's 2 seconds down, so it looks like most of the guys are probably going to come in, put another set of intermediates on, and just go again and see what they can do. But Beastas has come out pretty early for the final parts of the run. So at the moment we have 3 people who have not set a time. Adam has a qualifying ban for last week, so he is going to be starting pretty much last in the grid. But to be fair, especially with the wet conditions, it'll not really compromise him too much. We'll see how Kelsberg gets on, as he's been a man that's been pretty much on form recently, but last week was a bit of a disappointing week. He just did not like the track, and it was held up quite a lot. But like from the guys that were still had to do they were doing a one stuff on the mediums, he was cost a lot of time. And Kevin took the win last week, took pretty much a grand slam, but at the minute he's down at P5, so it's not an ideal start for the race winner last week. But we'll see how Kelsberg is on, because he's still in the title battle. There's still 4 drivers that can still win the championship. I think Kelsberg's now got himself within under 2 race wins, so it just depends whether Matt can keep the consistency going. At the minute with being on pole position at the moment is exactly that, and if he keeps this up in the next couple of races, he will pretty much win the championship. So he's just got to keep doing what he's doing. This Kelsberg is a massive wiggle on coming out of the hairpin. It's set up it looks pretty much like it could be a dry setup for this here, because if it was a wet setup he probably would have the traction, but you can see he's pretty much understeering. Yeah, the car's not stable, as Matter actually comes on a set of softs. So is this an indication that the track is going to dry up? If the track is, well, it's actually said he's put all about another set of intermediates, so don't think it's going to dry up. It was really weird that it went to softs. It says Kelsberg went purple through the second sector. To be fair, if he has, then fair play, because it hasn't looked like a good lap so far, but he does lock up into the last couple of corners, but still takes it pretty nicely. The traction is not too bad. He short shifts very early to try and kill the wheel spin as he comes across the line, and that's going to be a 37.0 when it puts him into P5, and he's still down. What's Dobby going to do? He's on his out lap, so we'll see. We're right aboard with Dobby and see if he can make an improvement. 37.4. should be able to make an improvement on his time, because he'll be around the same sort of pace as Kelsper. Well, maybe a few tenths off, but especially in these conditions, I think it narrows it down. It's pretty much down to the driver. It's not down to the axis, down to the driving skill basically. In these wet conditions, in the dry, it's just about who has who is the quickest setup. But in here, it's all about skill. You can have a bad setup, but you could be a really skilled driver and still manage to have put in some decent laps. So yeah, you saw Scuba actually moves himself up into P2 with a 36.8, and to be fair, Kevin, I didn't even see that, with a 36.4. It didn't pop up on my screen, but that's Kevin again, man, making a statement now with a 36.4, nearly half a second quicker than second place man Scuba, who has actually transferred to his team now. So they're both our teammates. Scuba wanted to join the team to try and basically slap Kevin, but at the moment Kevin's slapping him by quite a considerable amount, so he needs to do a lot more if he's going to try and beat Kevin at the minute, because the man's found quite a bit of pace. We still know his consistency, still not the best. Beastas is currently half a second up on his time. What's Beastas going to do? Is he going to knock himself onto the front row of the grid? He is not. He's going to miss out. He's in the third row of the grid with a 37.0. So Dobby's only 3.5 tenths up on his time. Can Dobby now challenge the front row of the grid, as Matt is still on a 36.9? So Dobby goes into the last couple of corners, locks up. To be fair, the car still looks pretty planted, as Casper comes into the pits to go for another set of intermediate tyres as Dobby crosses the line. It's actually only in the 10th improvement, so he did lose quite a bit of time in that last sector as Matter comes across the line to start his next lap. So does Chubbs, so these two guys are going to go for the next runs. Who else is ahead? I think Scuba is pretty much down. Is he going to go for another run? I think he is not. He's going to bolt it into the pits. Kevin's out of fuel. Who's the next person? There's another Mercedes about there. I think that's Kieran Top, so we'll go on board with Kieran Top. He's coming into the pits as well. Funky Chicken's retired. Merc got a wiggle under the last corner and it was not ideal for him. What I'm going to do, he's on another outlap. So I think some of these, yeah, you can see the conditions are starting to improve a bit. I think it's going to be close to slick conditions. They might only get one run. And the transition from wets to dries is very tricky, because you can brake so much later, but it's because you've done so many laps in the wet, you're used to braking early, so you need to pick your braking point very carefully when you're going to be transferring from the wet to the dries. And you can see the rain has pretty much stopped, so I do assume that most of these guys are going to come in for pretty much slick tyres. And you can see already Scuba's bolted on a set of mediums, Calspers went for the softs, and Niall as well has also went for the mediums. So who is this? This is Wesker. So Wesker's actually come out in another set of intermediates. That is interesting one from Wesker. I think we're going to see different strategies from everybody, because the track might not be dry enough. Although it looks like it's going to get bone dry very quickly. Matt's went for a set of softs. Kevin's still on the intermediates. So it's just all going to be a matter of time to see how everybody else gets on, and we'll go from there. Kieran Top's also went for a set of softs as well. For Wesker's car at the moment on the inters it does look okay, but I do think I think he will try and rush it back to the pits as quickly as possible to try and bolt on a set of slick tyres. But see as well, Yarham's into the last corner now. He's got Merck ahead of him, but he has completely butchered the last corner, and both of them are going to come into the pits, so they will definitely get a chance to go for one final run. I think both the drivers will put on a set of soft tyres, as Kevin actually comes out another set of intermediates. So that is an interesting call. It doesn't look like there's much spray coming off the tyres from the view that I have anyway, so I think this might be a bad call from Kevin, because Kevin had a very strong chance of getting pole position here, but I think this might not have played in his favour, as Wesker is still on his outlap and has pretty much butchered it, and he's going to try and come into the pits. Yeah, he's trying to get back into the pits as quick as possible. I don't know if Wesker's going to have the time. He might have made a mistake. We'll see who's going to be the first driver to start their flying laps. It actually looks like it's going to be Matt, so we will stay with Matt and see how he gets on. I'm pretty sure this lap that Matt should be pole position, but it's just going to be the last person across the line is going to get the best conditions, so any one of these drivers can take pole position here, which is probably the best bit about a wet to dry track, because as I said, last man across the line will get the benefit of the track evolution, which will gain them a lot more time. So Matt is that maybe at a wee bit of a disadvantage, but to be fair, if he's fueled for 2 time runs, he'll be very strong. He will have a chance of going for 2 laps and maybe being the last man to cross the line, as a lot of drivers are still in the pits and are pretty much going to bolt it out of the pits now. As you can see, there's a lot of cars coming out, but Matt needs to be very careful because these drivers need to get out of his way. As you see, a lot of them braking, and he's got comfortable pretty oh, see, it's so hard to just commentate on his lap because he's lagging quite a bit on my screen. I assume he's taking the lines pretty well, but it's just on this screen it's just very hard to see. I'll go with the broadcast view because the broadcast view might not be as bad. It says he's in 5th gear. I think he's actually backed out of the lap, has he? I think Matt has actually backed out of the lap, so it doesn't look like he's going to make much of an improvement. Well, it says he's 1.1 seconds up, so regardless of him kind of backing out of the lap, he is going to go for it. I doubt he's backed out of it. It looks like he has because of just how slow he was going, but I don't know. We'll just keep with him and see. He will, if he keeps it going, he will improve, but whether he's going to improve enough to forget pole position, as you can see, he's not really using much ERS, so I think this is maybe Matt just doing a sort of like a cider lap, and then afterwards just going to go for it then. So this might be, so this lap time might be irrelevant for Matt at the moment, as Kevin has pretty much backed. I think Kevin's pretty much squandered this now. I think they're going to make too much of an improvement, as there's still a lot of guys out. Kieran Trapp as well. I'll just keep with Matt just to see what sort of lap time he does do, as I know Kieran Trapp's probably going to be the next person, or else Niall's going to be the next ones to cross the line, so we'll just keep an eye on the two of them. But Matt is probably at the minute going to take provisional pole position. As you can see, he's using his ERS now, so that was a cooldown lap for Matt. It is a 33.9. I'll expect him to improve a lot here. We'll see now Beastas. He's currently starting his lap. I think the next person to actually start is Kieran Trapp. He's currently 2.3 seconds up. And Niall is quite a bit behind Kieran, so he's not going to make much of an improvement. But Niall has went purple through the first sector, but Kieran Trapp is 2.5 tenths up. He's now 5.2 seconds up on his time, so you can just see how much of an improvement these guys are going to make in the transition from the wet to the softs. As he comes into the last corner now, make sure he doesn't invalidate it. And it's a beautiful last couple of corners, and Kieran Trapp is going to cross the line to take a provisional pole position. Surely it's a 31.8, and he's feeling pretty happy with himself to actually see he's went up in the pole position. He's hoping everybody messes up now. Oh, and Niles went wide. Oh, he's in the wall. Oh, he's in the wall, and the car's crashed, and that's him. Oh, that's so unfortunate. That is unfortunate for Niall. He's going to be starting at the back of the grid along with Adam and Funky Chicken. I'm just trying to keep an eye on who's going to be the next person to cross the line. It's going to be Beastas actually. It's going to be the next person to cross the line, so we'll keep an eye on Beastas. He's 5.9 seconds up, so he's currently quicker than Kieran Trapp at the moment. As Beastas comes into the last couple of corners now, locks up into the second last corner, but takes a nice. Beastas is going to cross the line to take. Matter's going to be not too far behind that. 29.6 from Matter. Dobby in the minute, 29.2. The times are coming down. Scuba up at a 30.2. So Matt's at 29.4, and there's so many guys, but I can't. Casper in the pole position was at 28.9. I don't know who took pole. I don't know what happened there because they were just all so close together. But I think Casper did take pole position with a 28.9, so he managed to get absolutely fantastic lap in. But to be fair, Dobby as well. I think that's 2 Williams ways up. There's 2 Williams 1-2. It's not often you see that. Matt in behind third. It's what he needs. He needs to keep himself there or thereabouts in the championship anyway. But he's currently half a second down on Casper's. Casper's lap there was absolutely phenomenal. Beastas as well, 29.5, and then Matter 29.6. And then a wee bit of a gap to Johan at 29.9, and then to be fair, Merck and Scuba both 130.2 as only 2,000 of a second covered the two of them, and they're both on the medium, so this might play into their hands in terms of strategy in the race. And then Kieran Trapp and P9. Then you have Kevin, Wesker, Chubbs, Funky Chicken, Niall and Adam, who were all either did their laps on the intermediates or didn't get a lap time in, so they all have free choice of tyres. And I'm assuming Kevin's going to go for a set of mediums, which is going to be very hard for him with the position that he's starting in. But we'll see. You just never know what's going to happen. Because I assume with the gate, yeah, it's got pretty much blue skies, so I'm going to see this now and see who is going to get the advantage. I assume Scuba and Merck are probably going to be the two drivers at the moment. They're going to be laughing because of the being in the medium tyres, but I'll keep an eye on the chat and see what the lads in the chat are saying. We'll have a wee conversation. It's just Luke and Timo talking about it. Well, put into the chat, boys, if you want. Who do you think is going to take the race winner? Who do you think is going to be in the podium? because it's going to be interesting to see some of your drivers' thoughts as well. I think you can't really discount the likes of Merck and Scuba, because with them being on the medium tires, they're going to be able to go a lot longer. Whether they'll try a medium soft, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the strategy or not, but I assume most of the guys on the softs will go for a set of hards. But you never know, if a safety car comes out, it might benefit Scuba and Merck to go as long as possible and then use the softs at the end to try and catch back up. Thank you, Team Over. Thank you for the very nice words, man. But yeah, I was assuming. Well, to be fair, Niles actually went for a set of softs, which is quite a surprise. But I assumed everybody else outside the top 10 and Kevin were going to go for a set of mediums. So it's not really much of a great. It's not a great surprise. So going to be quite a few different strategies here. I expect Kieran Chop to probably get past Merck and Scuba fairly quickly, considering the fact he's on the soft compound tires, and they should pretty much light up straight away. You might see Niall as well probably get past Funky Chicken. Whether he'll have the pace to get past Chubbs, because I know he's only recently just bought F1, so it's going to take him a while to actually get used to how the car performs, and he is on a wheel as well. So come straight onto the F1 game and use a wheel is a very hard thing to do. So I don't expect too many miracles from him at the moment, but you never know. He might surprise us. But Team was actually going to go for Scuba for the win, which to be fair is not a bad shout, because as I've said before, he is on the mediums and he's very good at saving his tyres, and he'll know exactly what to do with the experience that he has in league racing. So he is a good shout. I don't think he'll win it. I think he'll have a podium, but I do think Kalsberg has pretty much the pace, I think, to run away with it. I think if he can get away out of the DRS zone and pull away maybe about 2 seconds before the pit stops, he might have a chance of just having just a clean race. But it's going to be interesting, because Matt will need to get past Dobby very quickly, but we know Dobby's a very quick driver, and Dobby will want to fight for this win, so Dobby will definitely put his teammate Kalsberg under pressure. So it's going to be an interesting one, but I do think Kalsberg will take the win. In terms of P2, I think Scuba is probably going to get a P2, because with the strategy he's doing, and as Matt has got disqualified, and so was Kieran Chops, so have them two made contact with each other. That's quite bizarre, but a lot of drivers are very close trying to warm up their tyres. It's going to see if now the Red Bull is going to benefit Scuba and actually make him win the race. To be fair, you can't actually discount Kevin either, because him being on the mediums, and we know he's a very, very quick driver. It's just he just needs to cut out the penalties, as a lot of drivers are getting disqualified now, so that's not the best thing to do. But I don't know, I would go probably Kalsberg, Scuba, and I'm gonna go P3 for. I'll go a bold one. I'll go Yarham with Matter P4. That's a brave call from me, but we'll see. Could be a commentator's question, and the four of them could have a bad race. I hope not. I hope they all have a very good race. As Niall and who is that? That was actually Funky Chicken, I believe, was actually the last person too. As you can see, it's pretty much going to be a soft, hard is what the game is predicting anyway. So we will see how it gets on, as we do have. The lights have not loaded for me, but I do assume we have 5 red lights. And we are underway, and it actually looks like Dobby is an absolute fantastic launch, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to make the move in Kalsberg into turn 1, because Kalsberg's initial getaway wasn't great, but his last part of it was. And as well, Beastas up the inside of Matt. Oh, and there's close between Yarham and Matt. Matt's lagging quite a bit. But on the outside, is Merck going to make the move? Oh, he spun! Oh, Merck spun, he's hit the side of Matter. I don't think he's lost any wing damage. He hasn't lost his wing, so he's a bit far back, but he's not too far out of it. And Adam as well has made contact. I don't think he's lost his wing either. No, they haven't lost the wing, so they've just dropped back. They will be able to catch back up, so just keep going. They will have the pace to catch back up. I'm very confident in that. But other than that, it was a pretty clean getaway. It was just the nature of them corners is very hard to go side by side, especially on the first lap with everybody trying to get their burns and all. But hopefully now everybody has got it, and it's still pretty close to everybody. Funky Chicken as well. P12 is currently outside the DRS zone of Kevin, and I expect Niall to keep close to that. As you can see as well, that Merck is closing in the gap on Niall and Funky Chicken, so I expect him to catch them fairly quickly. Whether he'd be able to get to the back of Kevin's going to be a different matter. He needs to have some serious pace, but I wouldn't say it's out of the question yet from Merck and Adam. They just need to keep their heads down, and they'll just keep going, because the race will come to them towards the latter stages. But at the moment it's still top 7. As I said, I expected Kieran Chop to get past Scuba and Kevin, and he did pretty quickly. It's checked them soft tires just to light up, and they have indeed. And he's now up on the P7, and that is Matt. What has happened, Matt? What has happened to Matt? Oh, nothing's happened to Matt. It's just he's getting desync from me. He's currently in P4 at the moment. It's just Matt's London internet. That's exactly what it is. So Matt's actually P4 and Johan's P5. So that's we just need to keep an eye on. It's just a desync, because you can see Matt's ghosted. He might be ghosted for everybody else, which would actually make it easier, because oh, he's off the tracker. Where's he going? He's going to a different county there, Jesus. So is that I think that was actually, was that, I don't even know, this timing screens are just messed. But I do believe Matt did make the mistake, and he is actually down in last place now, I believe. No, he's not down in last place, actually. I do apologise, because Niall has got Merc right behind him. Oh, and Niall's went wide, and Merc has just completely avoided it, and it's like, thank you very much. Question is now, is Adam going to launch it up the inside? Oh, he's thinking about it, but he's going to go for a bit of a cutback. Niall's just trying to get the traction, but I think Adam, oh, Niall's all over the place. Oh, he's contact. There's contact between the two of them. Niall's made the mistake. Oh, and Adam's just drove straight through him. Oh, so unfortunate for Adam. I think he might have winged down. It was a mistake from Niall, and it just did not pay off for Adam. He was on the receiving end of it. Oh, so unfortunate for Adam. As Casper says, the fastest lap of the race, and has pulled out a 1.5 second lead on Dobby. But Dobby's got Beastars right behind him. Beastars looking very feisty at the moment. He knows the title, he can still win it. With Matt having made that mistake, who's just currently got past Funky Chicken. Around the outside in the turn, before turn 1, beautiful from Matt. Kieran Top picks up a penalty straight away. You will definitely see a lot of them this evening, as Adam is in the pits. Soon we're going to go for a set of hards and try and go to the end of the Grand Prix. And to replace that wing, he's actually going to go for another set of mediums. To be fair, I think there will be a safety car or so in this race, so it's definitely not out of the question just yet for Adam. Marcus gradually catching back up as well. He's got a 5.1 second gap to Matt, who at the moment is not looking pretty fancy, because he's struggling currently at the moment. Despite being on them soft tires, you would expect him to be up there a lot quicker. Kieran Chop has dropped out of the DRS zone of Matter, so he isn't currently 1.8 seconds behind. He's got Scuba and Chubbs right behind him. Chubbs looking very feisty at the moment on them in his new McLaren car anyway, so he's very, very happy with the choice. And Scuba at the moment, them two boys making the switch, they both agreed to it, and Kevin agreed that too, so I was happy, they were happy enough for it to be switched, and that's exactly what's happened. Question is any of them going to make a move on Kieran Chop there or not? But Scuba is looking, oh, he's very close to Kieran Chop. Kieran Chop's very twitchy. That is Niall, I believe, has went off the track. Scuba's going to try and make the move on Kieran Chop. Kieran Chop should also use an overtake. They're going to go side by side, but Kieran Chop's not really going to fight this too much. And Scuba's up ahead of Kieran Chop, and now he is the highest medium runner, and as I said, he's in a very strong position to even get a podium. I still don't think he will get the win, because Kelsper has the pace, although I said that Beastas has caught that gap pretty quickly, so Beastas is looking very strong. So you never know, team, your prediction could be right, man. Scuba could win this, and at the moment he is gaining on the guys in the soft, so it looks like his mediums is coming to them. Kieran Chop's currently outside the DRS window, but he has Chubbs right behind him, and Chubbs is going to try and go around the outside. He backed out of it because of the kink. It's very hard to go side by side at the kink. You've also Wesker in behind that as well. Chubbs with a fantastic switchback. Kieran Chop has the traction on the soft tyres, but is he going to launch it up the inside? I don't think he's going to be close enough, as in the background. Oh, Kevin and Wesker side by side, and Kevin's going to make the move. Wesker is trying to come back, but he can't, and Kevin is up and out into P9. If Captain Chubbs into P8, is he going to hunt down Kieran Chop? He is. Kieran Chop is not using any overtake, neither is Chubbs. As Adam Michael has picked up a time penalty. Scuba sets the fastest lap of the race with 29.5. He is coming, but Chubbs is coming on Kieran Chop, and he's going to make the move up the inside. It's an easy move for Captain Chubbs with the DRS. DRS is, I think, very effective around here anyway. You can definitely see it on the main straight. the amount of overspeed you get is ridiculous, and Kieran Top's tires I think are starting to fall off, which is not ideal. And you see Kevin as well. Kevin's just right behind him. I like Kevin's helmet, to prefer. It is very nice. Is Kevin going to try and launch? He's going to try. Oh, a bit on the curb. Oh, Kevin, he's lucky. He's very, very lucky to save that. That's just the nature of it. You clip that inside curb, you're going to be a massive struggle, as Matt is now right behind these as well. So Matt's, to free, you can say Matt's still not out of this just yet. The gap from Merck to Matt is still roughly around the same. It was 5.1, it's now 5.4. So at the moment, the time between the two of them is still roughly the same. So apparently as well, I put Merck right back in it. As you can see, Wesker ahead is a bit of a switch. He's getting a bit of a tank slapper out of the corners, and you can see as well Kevin, much better run, used a bit of overtake. Is he going to go side by side? So know these two will be in a party together, but I don't think he's going to risk it at this occasion. No, he's not. Oh, but he is going to get an absolute massive launch on the inside as I'm on the wrong counter around the outside, and I think he's made the move stick. He has. Beautiful move from Kevin, absolute beautiful switchback, especially in the 130R. Very, very impressive. Matt's coming into the pit, so he's going for an early stop. It's surely going to be first set of hards. There's no way he's going to get mediums to the end, and it is first hard set of hards. So Matt is going to go both very early and go for the hard tyres, and this is going to be him to the end of the Grand Prix. So it'll be interesting to see if these hard tyres at this stage of the race will be good enough. It'll take them a couple of laps, I think, to warm up. So it depends how long these guys ahead stay out. The longer they stay out, the more it'll benefit him. But towards the end of the race, he will start to struggle more than the rest of them. So you need to get the laps in very, very, very quickly, because an undercut mostly on this game is powerful. But we'll see. Adam's 42 seconds behind and has a penalty, but he's got, and Niall's just gradually going about his business. The best thing for him to do is just keep doing laps. If you want to improve on the wheel anyway, just laps, 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 laps. That's the best thing to do. To be fair, the top 5 are still all pretty close, and Matter and Yarham, I have to must say, I'm very, very impressed with the pace that the two of them are showing, because they're still there. Like, if any of these two boys pit early, they have a strong chance of coming out in the lead of the Grand Prix. And to be fair, Yarham's only nearly 2/10 slower than his best time, so to be fair, it shows the softs aren't dropping off that much. We'll see, is any of the guys going to pit? Nobody's going to pit just yet. Nope, they're all staying out. As a matter, went 2/10 slower than the same. I think Yarham would have went around the same, so it does show that at the moment the softs are hanging on, but Scuba looks to be the quickest man on track at the minute. So the mediums are just seem to be a much better race tyre, and Kevin has made the move on Kieran Trapp. Oh, the camera angle just couldn't see it, but it was around the outside. It's a beautiful move from Kevin. Now he's going to set his sights on Captain Chubbs, as Kieran Trapp's very struggling so hard in that section. You can just see it, the car's just understeering so badly. You can see he has to kind of just back out of the corner just a wee bit, which is giving the guys behind much better route. It could be the dirty air, I don't know, but it doesn't look like the setup's just hooked up. But Wesker on the mediums is feeling very comfortable, and I think he will be very confident in himself that the race is going to come to him. He just has to be patient. But Scuba's so close to the DRS zone of Matter, and if Scuba can stay within this DRS zone, he's going to be very, very, very strong. And he's just outside at the moment. Johan's starting to drop off just a bit, so looks like his tyres are starting to wear out just a bit, but he probably is struggling as well from the dirty air of the cars ahead. And also the guys ahead have a lot more ERS at their disposal than Yarham does. But Matter's also got more than Yarham, so it's going to be interesting now to see. Yarham's only playing with 8% ERS, while the guys around are between 30 and 60. And Wesker made the move and Kieran Trapp around 130, or Yarham does bolt in, so Yarham's the first one to pit. Surely Yarham, if he puts on a set of hards, yes he does, surely should be the one coming out in the lead of the Grand Prix. And I do believe, sorry, that was Kalsper and Beastas tried to make the move, as I completely missed it, but Kalsper came right back at him. So Beastas at the moment is saving his tyres a lot better than Kalsper. I thought, to be fair, I did actually think from Kalsper's qualifying time that he was going to run away with this race, but to be fair, Beastas has set this car up for the race, and it is showing it at the moment, because that car at the moment is looking very, very, very quick. He's got so much more grip. Is he going to try it around the... Oh, he was thinking about it into the hairpin. Is he going to try it down the inside? He is not. And Dobby's right there as well. Matter's just right outside the 1 second window. He needs these guys in front to fight. Scuba's in the DRS window now of Matter, so Scuba's still clawing his way through. And even if these guys ahead even start the battle, it's going to benefit Scuba as well. But if a safety car comes out right now, it's going to compromise him just a bit, because I think he'll try and stretch these. I think Scuba will try and stretch these as far as possible and go for a set of softs at the end. If a safety car comes out now, he's going to have no choice but to go for the hards. So he's going to be praying and hoping that's not going to be a safety car for a long while. As a lot of drivers lock up into the second last corner. Is Kelsper going to bolt in? Kelsper is going to bolt. Beastas stays out, and so does Dobby. Well, Dobby has to stay out because of teammate Kelsper speeds into the pit lane. Oh, Kelsper's got 5 second time penalty. Oh no. As he's retired from the session. Oh, that's just rage. That's Kelsper just raging. He should have just kept going. He would have had the pace. I don't know why he didn't keep going. That's unfortunate. That could pretty much put Beastas in the net lead of the Grand Prix. But to be fair, Scuba is there. Chubbs just cannot keep with the Red Bull, so Chubbs swapped from the Red Bull to the McLaren at the moment. Looks like Scuba called it perfectly. Scuba wanted the switch, and at the moment it's benefited him quite a lot. He seems to love the handling of that Red Bull. Yellow flag in sector 1 and 2. That is for Kelsper's car. Somehow it's still goes out, but it's caused at the end of this, sorry, it's called the side of the track as it's now disappeared. So we're going to have hopefully green flags. What we'll say that Niall's about to get lapped. No, and he spun it. That's the slide from Niall. I think that one looked like he was just trying to carry too much speed. Oh, so unfortunate for Niall. But Beastas is pulling out a bit of a gap now toward Dobby. And Dobby's pulling out a tiny bit of a gap to Matter, but Scuba's still keeping within that DRS window. Question is Beastas going to bolt in this lap? Beastas is going to bolt in this lap. Is Dobby? Dobby's going to stay out one more lap. Matter's also going to stay out, and Scuba has also going to stay out as well. But Scuba's got the run. He's only 11% DRS. Matter is using his. He doesn't have any left. Scuba's trying to use all of his, and it's going to be right around the outside, side by side. But he's went wide. Matters went straight back at him. Oh, it's side by side. Oh, it's so close between the two of them. But Scuba carried too much speed. Made the move stick, but then made the mistake of braking so late, and that's allowed Matter to come straight back at him. To be fair, you have to say the position if the Matter did right to back out of the move. Scuba just carried way too much speed, and Matter just goes straight back to it, so Scuba's going to have to do it all again. You see, I'd call Scuba nearly 1.5 seconds out now. It's allowed Chubbs to get within the 2 second window, and Kevin, to be fair, Kevin and Wesker are still not rid of this just yet. As I said, a safety car in this race will spice everything up. But for the guys in the mediums, it's going to compromise them, so you'd like a safety car around about lap 20. It'll probably close everything up. As Yarham does retire from the session. That is a mistake, is it? Oh, it is a mistake from Yarham. Where is that? Yellow flag in sector 2. Is this going to be a safety car? It looks like he's binned it out of one of the Dagnas. Or one of the, I think it was one of the Dagnas I think he binned it out of. But the car seems to be off the side of the track, so it doesn't look like there's going to be a safety car at the moment. Is Dobby going to pit? Dobby does bolt in. Yarham does the same, so Scuba's now in the net lead of the Grand Prix. But to be fair, Chubbs has pulled the gap in. Chubbs can see him, and Kevin can also. The three guys are on the one straight. This is now is Chubbs going to be able to close the gap. I'm not sure if Chubbs is on the wheel. I think he's actually on a pad this time. Yeah, it looks like he's on a pad by his movements. Yeah, it looks like he's on the pad, so it just shows you, and especially by his pace as well. So this is the sort of pace Chubbs has on the pad. As a lot of drivers, the gap is starting to form out just between everybody, but to be for Dobby, and Dobby went for a set of mediums, Beastas went for a set of hards. We know Beastas likes to do this, he likes to go for a compound harder just to get sure that he's going to get to the end of the Grand Prix, but if he went 10 laps on a set of softs, he easily could have done 17 on a set of mediums, surely. I think Beastas will come under threat very soon by even Matter as well. Matt's already been 4 laps out on his hard tyres, so Matt's got them in the perfect temperature window. So you never know, he might even catch Beastas, but you see Dobby's just so much quicker at this phase. So it's just showing you if the McGays went 10 to 11 laps on a set of softs, Scuba's going to easily go to lap 17 on a set of mediums, and then just both softs on to the end. So Chubbs, Scuba and Kevin are all very strong here for maybe even a podium, because for a 1, 2, 3 even, you could say, because they're going to come out, because at the moment they still have the pace, like they're going to come out, I would say maybe 4 to 5 seconds behind. Maybe when you say maybe 4 seconds behind Matter, which they'll catch easily on a set of softs. So we very need to just keep an eye on them when coming to the pits. To be fair, Wesker as well. I would not discount Wesker for a strong result, and to be fair, Merck is only 6.5 seconds behind. Like, I wouldn't really count Merck out of it just yet either. Like, any one of these guys can still string in a good few podiums. Casper was saying that his force feedback went. To be fair, I had the same problem, only I don't have it around here, I have it everywhere. I lose it after like 2 or 3 laps, and it's just very hard to feel the car. But at the same time, because I've had on me for so long, as Matt makes the move and Funky Chicken on the inside of the hairpin, so that's Matt now up on the P9. Funky Chicken still hasn't pitted yet. He is this is his first league race on the wheel, so at the moment, to be fair, he's in P10 and has kept the car pretty clean at the moment. Hasn't made really too many mistakes, and so all he has to do is just keep plugging away. As I said about Niall, just keep the laps going, and you'll definitely find improvement. But no, on the thing of Kelsper, like losing the force feedback, I get that as well. It's just because I've had it for so long, I'm used to it. But yeah, once you lose the force feedback, it's an absolute nightmare. But you see here, Dobby right in the slipstream of Beastas. Beastas can't defend it because he doesn't have the ERS. Dobby right around the outside, beautiful move. And now this is going to be this important phase of the race for Dobby. He needs to start pulling out the time on Beastas, especially on these, because he has a much more superior grip. Because towards the end of the Grand Prix, Beastas will come back on him just a bit, but the more Dobby can pull out the gap now, the more of an effort Beastas has to pull out towards the end. So the bigger the gap now, the harder it's going to be for Beastas. At the moment, Dobby had nearly half a second up, so if he can keep this lap going, it's going to be a comfortable fastest lap of the race, and he's currently pretty much pulled out 8 tenths of Beastas already. As to be fair, Chubbs is actually pulling in the gap to Scuba, and Kevin's pulling in that gap as well. So at the moment, to be fair, I think Scuba's saving ERS. Well, Chubbs is definitely not, but Kevin's got a lot more. I think if Kevin used a lot more of his ERS, then Kevin would definitely be able to catch up to Scuba pretty quickly. But Scuba's just trying to save his ERS, just keep the tyres going. As Kevin picks up a 3-second time penalty, that's what I was saying about the consistency. He needs to cut them penalties out, because the likes of Scuba will definitely not pick up them penalties. Just so precise where he just places the car all the time. It's going to be interesting to see once these guys see Dobby sets the fastest lap of the race about 28.7. But to be fair, it's only 2 seconds covers the top 3, and if Chubbs can get within the DRS window of Scuba, it will put Scuba just under a tiny bit of pressure. And once Chubbs gets into the DRS window, it should be very hard for him to get out of it, because it's that strong. You see Kevin's in it at the moment, as that is yellow flag in sector, I don't know where that was, but there is. Oh, this is Niall, I believe, getting out of the way. Yeah, it is. Niall's just being lapped. The thing is, Niall doesn't really have to move out of the way because the car's ghost anyway, so he can stay on the racing line. Whisker's 5 seconds behind, and Merck's also 6 seconds behind that, but Merck's got Dobby right behind him. Dobby's going to try and launch it. He was trying to, but he's got much better grip, but Merck, to be fair, gets fantastic traction. And to be fair, he needs, because Beastas is still within the DRS of him. To be fair, Merck's very entitled to defend his position, because this could be key to his race if he can keep Dobby behind for as well. To be fair, it'll help the likes of Kevin, Scuba and Chubbs if he can keep Dobby behind. But I think Dobby, if he doesn't get him in this corner now, he's always going to try and go for it down the insides. Dobby Oh, Dobby and Merc. Oh, it's contact between the two of them. I think Dobby was close enough aside, and Merc comes into the pits. As he bolts into the pits after that, so I don't know if that's Merc going for a set of softs. It is. Merc's going very early for a set of softs. I just don't think Merc had the grip anymore. That's pretty much, I think it's compromised Dobby just a bit, but he's still no harm, no foul. He's still pretty much in the race at the moment. Chubbs is not within that 1 second window. Scuba used a wee bit more ERS to just keep Chubbs outside it. But if you see Kevin now that he's in it, he's, as I said, once you're in the DRS window, it's very hard to stay. It's very hard to get out of it, unless you make a massive mistake. And at the moment, Kevin is not doing that. You can see he's using a wee bit of ERS. Kevin plays very beautifully with the ERS. He waits towards the important parts of the Grand Prix to actually deploy it. At the stage of the Grand Prix, he doesn't need to because he's just stuck in Chubbs' DRS, so he will just get towed along. But Chubbs needs to start catching the gap to Scuba, as Scuba's pretty comfortable at the moment, but the two of them are near similar in ERS, not too much a difference. If I was Kevin, I'd use my ERS right here and maybe launch it into the last corner, but I think he's going to wait to go down the straight. Is he? He's not, as Kieran Chop has made the move on Funky Chicken as well. As Kevin has DRS and a lot of ERS to play with, he surely should make the move on Chubbs here. Chubbs is not really going to be able to defend this. Kevin on the inside. Should be an easy move. Is Chubbs going to fight this around the outside? He is not, and Kevin is up into P2 and he's going to hunt down his teammate, because I know there's going to be, I know the two of them are teammates at the moment, but it's going to be a big rivalry between the two of them anyway. As Wesker is bolted into the pits for a set of soft tyres, so we will see. We'll see how quickly Merc can actually catch the back of Funky Chicken and even Kieran Chop. And if he's quick enough, he might even catch the back of Matt as well. So to be fair, I don't think this is out of the question just yet for Merc, despite the spin at the start. I still think he might have a strong chance of getting a good handful of points. But Kevin's in the DRS win. That's Scuba definitely did not want this, because as I was saying, these two, they are teammates, but they have quite a rivalry. As I said before, Scuba joined Red Bull because he wanted to slap Kevin about, and in qualifying he didn't do so, but at the moment he's not really slapping him about. He's beating him at the minute on track. But to be fair, Scuba has saved a lot more ERS. No, it's the wrong person actually, sorry. Kevin has a lot more ERS to play with than Scuba, so if Kevin can keep this going and build out a 3 second gap, Scuba will not be very happy if Kevin beats him this evening anyway. He will not be happy, and Kevin will have bragging rights for one race at the moment. First race, and Kevin could as Scuba does bolt into the pits, so Scuba's going to go for the early move. See, when he locked up there, his tyres weren't looking great, but he is in for a set of softs. Red Bull pit crew are usually a pit crew that's very, very quick and making changes, and see, he's out pretty quickly. Dobby's 13.3 seconds behind these guys, and he's going to come out. It's Beastas as well. Is Matter going to get out ahead of Scuba? I think he is. What about Matt Tybus? Matt's not going to get out in front of Scuba, so Scuba's going to come out on a set of softs in P6. Surely, like, that's what, 7.7 seconds. He surely should catch Dobby at an alarming rate. But you never know, as we've seen at the start of the Grand Prix, the mediums were hanging on very, very well. They were near enough even quicker than the softs. So, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. At the moment, the gap between Scuba and Dobby is, I would say, off the top of my head, probably about 8 seconds. We'll just do a round figure. So we'll just see how quickly Scuba can catch that gap. But at the moment, Kevin and Chubbs are still staying out. It's going to be very important now for Kevin to keep this going. If I was him, I'd actually just use a bit more ERS, because he will save it in the pit stops. If he can just use it and keep the lap times consistent, because Scuba's going to start to close in very quickly. Might be very important for Kevin to actually go a wee bit longer, because then he will have the tires at the end, compared to Scuba, who will not. As Kevin does come into the pits. And Chubbs also follows him as well, so the two guys have come in, so it's going to be Dobby, the effective lead of the Grand Prix. And what Beastas are behind him. For Beastas, I'm very surprised he's actually still stayed in the DRS. As that's Niall getting out of the way for, I think that's Adam. So these two actually did have a bit of a coming together, and now Adam's pretty much lapped Niall. So, there you go. So where did Chubbs and Kevin come out? Chubbs and Kevin came out. Oh, what's the matter? What the hell happened there? Jesus Christ. His wing's still intact. I don't know if he clipped the inside of someone when they were coming out of the pits, or what. Oh, so unfortunate, because Matter was on for a fantastic race at the moment. But to be fair, still not out of it. His tyres at the moment do not look great. That's because of the spin. Just keep it going. They will come back. He's 5 seconds behind Matt. He can catch to Matt Tybus. He can catch that gap. He might even be able. I don't think he'll catch Wesker, because Wesker's going to be comfortably ahead. But Kevin came out 1.9 seconds behind Scuba. So Scuba had the gap between the two of them was about 8 tenths. So Scuba has pulled out a second, maybe even a wee bit more, from undercutting just one lap earlier. So now Kevin is going to have to try and really get the hammer down here, as Scuba's only got 37%. Kevin's got 86%. So they have to get the foot down. But Beastas is still not out of this just yet. But I'm going to tell you, watch the gap that Kevin, Chubbs and Scuba are going to catch. You might even see towards the end of this race it's going to be a Red Bull 1-2. And maybe even Chubbs a P3. To be fair though, Matt as well on the hards is not out of it. Although he's got Wesker right behind him. If Wesker can pass Matt very quickly, Wesker's going to have a chance of getting to the back of Chubbs. Scuba sets the fast lap with a 28.4. Fantastic lap so far. Look at Wesker. Wesker's going to make the move. He's going to make the move up the inside of Matt. To be fair, Matt looked like he's decent straight line speed, but he has to tuck right back in underneath, because there's no way Wesker was going to let him get back. Wesker's now moved himself up into P6, and he's going to try and hunt down Captain Chubbs, who will he's 2 laps older tyres compared to Chubbs. So we will see how Wesker gets on, as I think Matt's going to pretty much fall back on them hard tyres. Matter, I don't know what happened with the incident between him, but if that incident did happen, he was actually up in I think 4th. So it's quite unfortunate for Matter. He's up in 4th, and never know, he might actually still have been able to stay in 4th. He would have definitely finished ahead of Matt Tybus anyway, because there's no way Matt's going to keep him behind, especially with Matter being on medium tyres. But to be fair, there hasn't been that many penalties. There's only been penalties for the guys towards the bottom half. But in terms of the guys towards the top, there's not many penalties. The only penalty is Kevin, but Kevin is starting to now catch Scuba. But if it comes down to penalties, it's going to be Kevin's going to lose out. Scuba is catching. I said keep an eye on Scuba, Kevin and Chubbs, and we're going to keep an eye too for Chubbs. At the moment it's not looking as quick as Scuba and Kevin, because Chubbs is 2 seconds behind Kevin, and it's going to be very hard to pull in 2 seconds. Now that Kevin's right behind Scuba, he's going to just easily stand there. And Kevin 28.2. Scuba thought his 28.4 was good. Kevin just pumps in a 28.2, and Scuba's probably like, piss off Kevin, get away from me. At the moment Scuba was 5 seconds, it's now 5.1, so he's losing the time. He's not pulling in as quick as I would expect. I was expecting him to actually take maybe a second and a bit of lap out, but he is not doing that. But Chubbs needs to just stay within the 3 second window of Kevin, and he will jump him. Wesker's not going to close the gap on Chubbs, because Chubbs is just too far ahead. Matt is losing time now to Matter. It's going to be interesting now to actually see if Kieran Trapp can actually catch, and Merck. I think Merck should be able to catch if he can pass Kieran Trapp pretty quickly. Beastas is still sticking within the 6/10 window, as Niall picks up another penalty. How many penalties is that? Niall's got 11 seconds. Kieran Trapp also has 11 seconds. I think that was 2 for. I think both of them got a 5 second for speeding in the pit lane, and then 2-3 seconds. So that's what accumulates to the 11-second penalty. It's very hard in this game, because sometimes you're under the window of the brake for the pit stops. Like, you're just trying to carry as much speed as possible, but you're actually under the delta, and you still get a penalty for it. I always crawl in like 20 mile under, so I'm crawling into the, I think it's like 37. The pit one, I'm always crawling into like 17, just to keep myself safe. I know I'll probably lose a bit of time from doing it, but I'd rather lose a bit of time than get a 5-second penalty, because I know I might be able to catch the time back up. But Chubbs is still sticking within the 2-second window of Kevin, so he just needs to keep doing that as Merck passes Kieran Trapp on the inside in turn 1, but he goes very deep. Kieran Trapp tries to come back. I don't think he's going to be able to. Nah, DRS, you can just see right underneath. Merck is just very tricky. And I think Merck's going to pull away now. Adam's 24 seconds behind. So Kieran Trapp could actually near enough pit go for a set of softs and try and go for fastest lap, because, well, actually I don't really think there's any point in that, because he loses at the Adam, but it all just really depends if he cares about the points, because it's only a point difference between the two of them. But if he does pit, actually he will lose out the Funky Chicken, so it's actually 2 points he's going to lose, but he might gain a point for fastest lap. So it's up to himself. He's either going to lose 1 point or lose 2 at the end of it, because Niall's 2 laps down. But Dobby and Beastas still going. Must say, Beastas always goes for the hard, like he goes for the hardest compound, like he goes for the softs and then goes for the hards in most races. Like he doesn't, you barely see Beast go for the mediums, but he always manages to have very good pace on the hards. I don't know if that's just the way he drives, if that's his driving style, that he's just better on the hard tyres than the mediums, or what. I don't know what it is, but he always seems to have pretty decent pace on the harder compound compared to everybody else who's on the faster compound. So if that's the way he likes to drive it, then fair play. Maybe he's just harder on his tyres and he just is worried about getting to the end. That could also be another possibility. I don't know. To be fair, Kieran Top actually came back. Kieran Top came back at Merck. So did Merck make a mistake and Kieran Top just came back? I don't think Merck will be too happy about this. But to be fair, and Merck has not really had many people to battle all race, and neither's Kieran Top, so the two of them are well in the right to fight each other as Adam pits, and I think Adam's going to just try and go for fastest lap. It's the best thing he should do, because realistically if he goes for fastest lap he has a 10-second penalty as well for instance last week, so regardless of that he was going to finish behind Funky Chicken anyway. If he goes for fastest lap, gets fastest lap, he's going to be in the same points as Funky Chicken because of the point for fastest lap, so realistically he's going to be in the same points regardless of what he does. So it's a smart call from Adam. He was probably always going to finish last anyway because of the penalty, but depends if that incident at the start. If he hadn't had that incident with Niall, and I think he had also had another one, I'm not sure, maybe it was just the one with Niall. If he hadn't had that, you never know, he might have been there. But Scuba is 3.4 seconds behind and they're on lap 23. They have 5 laps to do it. Is he going to close on 5 laps? Well, I tell you what, he's going to let Kevin go. So he is, so I think Kevin's now going to try and hunt them down. Them two must be in a party together, they must be speaking. Yeah, I see Kevin just wiggles and says thank you very much. So we're going to see now if Kevin can actually start to go. I think Scuba realised that Kevin is quicker at this stage. Kevin has definitely a lot more ERS at his disposal. But if Scuba just stays within 3 seconds, he will jump his teammate. But the question is he going to stay within 3 seconds? Well, he could, because Kevin will definitely tow him along. But the gap was 3.4, it's now 3.3, so he's closing but just not closing quick enough. Beastas and Dobby's pace on the harder tyres compared to Kevin and Scuba has been very, very good. It just shows you that around this track the delta between them in qualifying is big, but in the race the hards are just as good as the softs, and the mediums are probably the best tyre. Oh, as Niall gets lapped, I believe that is by, I think Matter actually lapped as he has. Matter's not too far behind Matt. Is he going to catch him? He's 2 seconds behind. Could be touch and go. Matt's still within 1.9 seconds of Wesker, so if Wesker makes one mistake, Matt's right there to capitalise. Merck and Kieran Trapper still going at it as well. I know these two guys are down in 9th and 10th, but they haven't really raced many people in this race, but I think they will still enjoy the battle that they're having with each other, because they're both they both are clean drivers, so I expect a good clean battle between the two of them. And you did see that Merck made the move and Kieran came back at him, and now I expect Merck to come back at Kieran this time around, and then probably vice versa again, but we'll see, because Kieran Top is not really using any ERS, but Merck is too far behind and he's not going to make the move. Is he going to try it around the outside? Don't think he is. No, he's not. As we'll keep an eye on the YouTube chat to see what's going on the YouTube. As Yarham says, there was a definite podium on there. Yarham, I'll be honest with you, man, I don't disagree with you. You definitely had a chance of a podium because your pace was looking very, very strong. I know Yarham's watching this, so like his pace the last couple of races has been pretty good. All he has to, as I've said, I'm just going to set him now on the stream, is just honestly, man, just keep your head down. Keep doing a couple of practice laps. get familiarised with your setup and keep your head down, because from the pace you've shown the last couple of races, you definitely do have to pace the challenge for wins in here if you do nail everything. So just literally keep it going and you will finish with some strong performances. But Timo's predicting a 1-2 for Red Bull and maybe a 1-3 because of Kevin's penalty. Well, Timo, at the moment it doesn't look like it's going to be a 1-2 or 1-3 for Red Bull, because them two boys are not closing in quick enough on Beastas and Dobby. And it's just going to be interesting now to see if Beastas is actually going to try and go for a move on the last lap, because I know sometimes he likes to do it, he likes to just try and make a move on the last lap, but Dobby might have enough ERS to defend us. It'll be very interesting to see, as Matt is still actually 1.3 seconds down behind Wesker. So I think now at this... Oh, is Matt... Is that a puncture? Oh, don't tell me that's a puncture after 18 laps. I think it is. I think Matt's got a puncture. Kevin's also picked up another 3-second penalty, so that's going to compromise him, because that's now going to put Chubbs ahead of Kevin. Oh, so unfortunate. Kevin, this penalties needs to work on, man. But no, Matt doesn't have... Does he have a penalty? I think he does. I think Matt does have a puncture, which is unfortunate. 18 laps on a set of hards and he's got a puncture. Just the softs, the mediums are nearly going that lap. That's bizarre. That is bizarre. Oh, who is that? That is Matt. I think Matt's just put that into the wall. He has indeed just put that into the wall. Matt, man, keep going. Keep going, my friend. You're going to lose out points in the championship, but if you keep going and pit and get a fastest lap, you're not going to lose as much points. Think of the bigger picture, as Dobby and Beastas are close. Oh, Dobby runs away. Beastas going to try and nick it up the inside. Beautiful from Beastas. Dobby's on the outside. We know this is going to be tasty. And Dobby could not make the move, and Beastas absolutely capitalised. Fantastic. I just called the end of that. Beautiful from Beastas. Dobby came in way too hot, and Beastas has made the move, and Beastas wins this on a set of hard compound tyres. Absolutely fair play. That is all I was saying, especially with the championship rival Matt being down. I actually think now, with this happening with Matt, if Matt DNFs, Beastas will take the lead of the championship. But I think if Matt he's going to lose out. He'll lose out to Funky Chicken and Adam, but he will get fastest lap, I would assume, which will bring him to 9 points. 16. I think he will still, off the top of my head, still be in the lead of the championship. I'm not sure, but to be fair, Beastas has absolutely just went away from Dobby. So Dobby's tyres are definitely feeling that. Beastas are an opposite window. But to be fair, I'll say Kevin is not going to catch these two. He is 1.4 seconds behind Dobby now at the moment. Can Kevin catch Dobby very quickly? Force him into a mistake to allow Scuba through? That is going to be an interesting story. Now we're going to have to find out. They might run out of laps, because Beastas is going to start the final lap of this Grand Prix, and for Kevin to gain 1.5 seconds or 1.3 seconds, sorry, on this lap, it's going to be very, very hard. But he will be in the DRS, I would assume, down 130R, or is it even down? Not that straight, I can't even bloody remember. He's not in it this time around, but Scuba's definitely in it this time. So at the moment, Scuba's going to take a podium. Chubbs is just outside the 6-second window for Kevin, so Chubbs needs to get a move on if he wants to get Kevin. At the moment, Kevin will finish P4, Scuba will finish P3, but Kevin is in the 1 second window now, so he's going to have one shot at this. Don't think he's going to do it, because Dobby's not going to go down. Definitely not going to go down without a fight. Yeah, team will agree with you, man. It's a very, very strong race from Chubbs. This is the Captain Chubbs I've wanted to see. This is the Chubbs I've wanted to see for such a long time. Whenever he's racing me, I want the wheel Chubbs, because that's the bad Chubbs. But when he's not racing against me, I want the pad Chubbs, because the pad Chubbs is actually quick. So, you know, Chubbs will watch this back and probably laugh. But Chubbs, he's just outside the 6-second window. He is gaining. He needs to just... He's 14% ERS. I mean, just deploy every single bit you can, Chubbs. But Beastas is going to come across the line very soon to pick up yet another win in TMC. It's been, to be fair, it has been absolutely remarkable how Beastas has won this on a set of hard tyres. I have honestly no idea. But he is going to cross the line. Beastas going to take a dent in Matt's championship lead, and he definitely does. Dobby will take P2, Kevin will take P3, but Scuba's going to jump into P3 and Kevin will go to P4. Chubbs is just outside the 6-second window and is not going to take P4. He's going to take P5, 3 tenths behind. Wesker is going to be 6. It's going to be P6, and then Matter at P7. I did expect Matter at P7 despite the incident anyway. And then Kieran Trapp and Merck have had a massive battle. They've been just ding-dong with each other since this second stint, and Merck's trying to pick up a P8 and Kieran Trapp's going to pick up P9 with this penalty that he hasn't served, but regardless of it being removed, he still will finish behind him anyway. 2 more penalties. Funky Chicken, his first race on the wheel. 2 before, he's going to pick up P10 and has kept himself pretty clean. Pretty clean he's kept it, which is good. I definitely hope he's learned a lot, but the question is Matt going to get the fastest lap? Because if he does, he's going to get the same amount of points as Adam Mako. And Funky Chicken's going to cross the line to complete his first league race on a wheel, so well done to him. Very, very strong result. Adam Mako's going to cross the line. It hasn't been a great race for him at the moment. He's going to keep P11 despite his 10-second penalty. It was very unfortunate for what happened with that, because he might have actually been on for a very, very strong result. Matt now coming across the second last corner into the last corner. This surely should be fastest lap for Matt, and you bet your bloody ass it's fastest lap, so Matt is going to pick up an extra championship point. Matter's like lucky his mic was on mute because he was couldn't believe it. Matter, man, honestly, these things happen, man. But as you see there, boys, that is an absolute fantastic performance from Beastas. Beastas does take the win. Championship League. So the Championship League going into this race was actually 15 points. Beastas is going to pick up 25. Matt's going to pick up, off the top of my head, 9 points, which is 16 points difference. So Beastas actually going to be leading the championship by a point compared to Matt. Scuba as well in the P3. He is going to also close the gap with Matt as well. He was, what was Scuba? Scuba was about 40 points behind. He's going to gain 11 points. So he's 29 points behind now. Calsper should have continued despite his penalty. I know he did lose the force feedback, but he should have still kept going, because he would have been able to close in the gap in the championship. But Beastars is now going to be effectively the new leader of the championship, so can he keep it going now? We have 4 races left after this, so it's going to be, I think it's going to come down to the wire between, I think it's Calsper now. I think Calsper's going to be out of it, but it's going to come down to the wire now between Beastas, Matt and Scuba. But yeah, your top 3 is Beastas, Dobby and Scuba, Kevin P4 and Chubbs P5, Wesker P6, Matter 7th, Merc 8th, Kieran Top 9th, Funky Chicken 10th, and then Adam, Matt and Niall, who was 3 laps down. To be fair, he still finished the race, so fair play to him. And that is all the positions are done, as it has told me that it has counted down, and it has. So yeah, as I was saying, we have 4 races left in the championship, and as I literally just pointed out, 1 point covers Beastas and Matt. Scuba's not too far behind either. He's in 29 points. That's still doable from the position that he's in. So it's going to be close. I think Calsper now at the moment is going to be, off the top of my head, what's Calsper going to be? I can't even remember. Calsper's going to be at the moment he was nearly 50 points down. I think he's going to be more than that now. He's going to be in the 70s probably. So it's going to be very tough now for Calsper to actually get back into the championship. To be fair, he wanted to win it as a reserve, but after that DNF this evening, I don't think he's going to win it. But yeah, boys, that's pretty much it. I was by myself. My throat's absolutely aching, because to be fair, for a Japan race, it actually was a pretty good race. I did quite enjoy that a lot. To be fair, I've enjoyed most of the races this season. There's been 1 or 2 races where it's been quite meh, because just the way that the track is. But to be fair, I know TMC's only recently started back. I know some people take it here. I'm going to just point this out now before I go off. I know some people don't take the league very seriously, but honestly, you honestly don't know how much I appreciate it. I brought it back because I wanted lads to have a bit of fun in terms of the racing. I'm trying to bring fun back to the F1 community, because I know there's a lot of guys that like to just go and race in their sweaty, esports league sort of thing. But I want guys just to come in here, just have a bit of crack, have good racing, just on a Friday night, just have a bit of chill racing, But I still expect everybody to respect everything that I'm doing, because I'm trying to do as much as possible. I'm trying to get it better than what it is at the moment. I have a few ideas for next season, what I want to do. It's probably not going to be to the highs it was before, because we took such a long break off, and it's very hard for me to recruit drivers because it's just the way that it is. because I'm not playing the game as much. I'm not doing many open lobbies. I can't find drivers. It's very hard. I know people don't want to come in as well, but if anybody does know anybody that's watching now, or any of the lads that's racing that knows anybody that wants to join a Friday night league just for a bit of crack, then I've been willing and grateful. But yes, I hope everybody is having a bit of fun this season, and hopefully for next season as well they can all have a bit of fun. That's all I want. Lads to just have fun and just basically let their hair down and have a bit of crack and enjoy racing. But yeah, that's going to be it from me, lads. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in. Like or subscribe and follow us on Twitter as well. Timo's doing a fantastic job with the Twitters, as I said last week. He's going to have he's going to have more content coming out as well, so just keep the support going, lads, and try and build this back up again, because that's all we can do at the moment. But yes, that's going to be it for me, lads. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next week for the Netherlands Zandvoort. It's going to be an absolute shite track, hard to overtake. Don't like it myself, but hopefully these guys enjoy it. But hopefully it's good racing next week, and hopefully we have more drivers turning up next week. So once again, thank you very much, and see you all later.